Boom, and just like that, it's Monday morning. Well, it's kind of Monday afternoon, but I don't like to say that it's Monday afternoon. I'll tell you why, because that makes me feel like the whole of Monday's gone, and then I think, like, well, what the hell have I done? What have I managed to do? Well, I had some, egg on toast. That's kind of it. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is Men's Radio Station. This is The Daily Show, and this is what's left of my voice. If I've got COVID again, I will go absolutely bananas. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, weird, huh? Weird. I hope you're all good. Hope the weekend was okay. Hope you had fun. I had a nice time. I had a fabulous family wedding. Anyway, let's crack on and bring him on. He is the king of New Malden, the Sultan of Soul. I just made that up. I don't even know what the hell it means. Neil Long. Hi, Neil.
I'm more the elephant of ecstasy nowadays. The emotion I feel.
No problem. It's not my business. Let's crack on with the first guests, which is very, very important. Hello there.
Hello.
You look like you're wearing. It's weird. It's looked like you. At first, I thought you had like fake pigtails on or something. What the hell? What do you got going on there? You
dressed up. In our Princess Leia buns.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm feeling I'm in the queue for a theme park here. This is
it is. They're going to come down and say, only 20 minutes to go, kids. Only 20 minutes to go till the scary ride. How are you both? You both good?
Really fabulous, thank you. It's nice to meet you.
We'll be the judge of that.
We're in your house now.
This is my house. I can't help it. I'm a big WWE fan. When Ronda Rousey comes on, they go, "This is your house." And there you go.
I hate to say I'm not being, but you seem very loud. It's like you're distorting.
Could you kind of turn? No, it's the gain. What we in the trade get me. What? Gain on your microphones. It's like
Can you turn your microphone down a tad, please? Because I want to hear every delicious word you have, and we don't want to.
We do.
They are delicious.
And also, on a personal note, I just want what's left of my hearing not to be completely messed up. Right. You're here to talk about.
That was a little over dramatic for my liking. I can only apologise.
No, it's serious. I'm serious. Well, it really goes serious. So tell us why you're here, because it's an important subject, and I've been pushing it out on social media, and people have been coming back saying, "Oh my God, thank heavens you're doing this because it's horrible." So.
I just say that I love you. I don't know you, and yet I love you, because it's so nice to have a man championing this subject. Because
just hang on that point. I'm not doing anything this evening.
Oh, by the way, I've got a fabulous dress in my bag. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Right. Is there any way the microphones down anymore? It really is distorting, and I really don't want it to spoil the great stuff we've got to talk about.
I agree.
So dull.
My radio is turned. I don't know how much control I have over it. Russ, is someone in the studio able to help us?
Yeah, they need to turn the gain down. It is like crazy loud.
Yeah, it's super, super loud to the point it's distorting, and I really don't want to miss this.
I don't either. I think it could be fun. I feel like we need to communicate with them. I think, are they doing it? Shall I go see?
Yes, we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is like.
This is going to be good.
Are you in a studio? Are you in a branch of Costa Coffee and just set up a couple of? Where are you guys?
We are in the studio.
No, I can hear you properly.
They're actually dealing with it.
Are they dealing with it? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
You sound
super.
great.
Okay. I've moved my microphone a little bit further away.
That's way better.
Cherry's coming back on the scene.
While we're waiting, we'll just say good morning to everybody. This is coming in from New York City. Yes. It is so much better. Elizabeth Green, good morning from New York City. So there we go. Right. Let's start as we mean.
Should we proceed?
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for the love, and we're very willing to hear this. I want to hear all about it.
So it's really lovely to hear men championing this subject, because you cannot have, it's not a women's issue. Menopause is not a women's issue. It's a everyone issue.
Because it affects everyone.
It affects everyone, yes.
It affects everyone. Your partner, your children, your friends, your colleagues, everyone goes through it with you.
Absolutely everyone. So if a woman's going through perimenopause and menopause, and tell us about some of the symptoms that a woman might be experiencing when she's perimenopause or menopause.
Okay.
So I'm so happy that we're talking about the perimenopause, because we all know about menopause. It's when women stop having periods and they get hot flushes.
Is it freezing for you, Russ?
No, it's all good.
But it's the time of the perimenopause that starts 8 to 10 years.
I don't know if anyone can hear me, but the screen is completely frozen.
I think he's frozen.
No, it's fine. It's I'm watching it. It's absolutely. Ladies, please continue.
Okay.
Honestly, I promise you, it's great. It's fine. I'm hearing it. I'm seeing it. It's all beautiful.
Okay.
So it's the time of the perimenopause that can start 8 to 10 years before the menopause, while women are still having periods, where things start to shift for them. They feel different. They know that something's not quite right. They often can't exactly put their finger on it, but things are shifting. And often they feel more irritable, a lot more anxious. They often can't sleep. They have really terrible fatigue and exhaustion. So they wake up tired. And they walk through treacle through the day and can barely get through the day. They have very low libido. This all really has a negative effect on their self-confidence, their ability to work, ability to look after their family and socialize. Affects
everyone around them. So it's not a women's issue. It's an everyone issue.
Agreed.
World Menopause Month. So it's fantastic to be talking about this.
Oh, got some fan mail coming in. Here we go. Oh, hi, everyone, says Ramsey, who is actually a huge mover and shaker, but he keeps that very quiet. But we know you, Ramsey. We've checked you out. Saw Cherry yesterday in the Daily Mail, speaking about the perimenopause. I love her work on Food Unwrapped and Inside the Food Factory. Always interesting stuff to learn and well explained.
That's really appreciated. Thank you so much. It makes me feel warm inside.
Okay.
So the reason we're talking about this is that Holland About have started a campaign called Pause and Listen, because a lot of women feel that they don't want to talk about menopause because they get judged or they get menosplained, which is the menopause version of mansplaining. And
that's very good. Did you make that one up? That's good.
I didn't. No, I think that was a Holland About.
That's really clever.
That's good, isn't it?
It's just brilliant. It's when someone says back to you, oh, look, millions of women go through the menopause. Just get on with it. It's just something that happens.
I find that very helpful.
Do you?
So good.
It's so helpful.
Yeah, it's a bit bovine at best, isn't it?
Yeah, shut it, Vera. Get on with the washing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's really important. It's really important that women feel like there's a safe space, that they will be listened to, they won't be patronized, that they will be given time to talk. So Holland About these new consultation rooms.
Cherry, I'm never crazy about the word safe space. So when I set up, I co-founded this radio station. I didn't want safe space, but the word I thought was non-judgmental space.
Yeah, I love that.
Safe space makes me think of some twat in California and the wind changes direction and they start crying. But non-judgmental means, it says what it is on the tin.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, actually, the Holland and Barrett survey showed that 61% of women they feel judged when they do talk about the menopause. So 2/3 of women aren't even talking about it. And the third of women who are feel they're being judged. 33% feel that the person that they're talking to just shuts them down and doesn't want to talk about the symptoms of the menopause that they're talking about.
So when you go into the store, there's this like big pledge plaque. And it's statements of listening. So it's like, you won't be judged. You won't be told that they're basically saying exactly what you're saying, is that you will be listened to and you won't be judged. And you can just go and book a consultation online or go straight into store. And it's on the high street, because a lot of women will be suffering, but they don't want to bother their GP. But it's actually there. Like when I was starting to become perimenopausal last year, I wish I'd had that. I wish I'd just been able to go into a store and say,
it's a fantastic thing, but it really hacks me off. The phrase you've just said, I don't mean that you've said it, but it's so endemic. They didn't want to bother their GP. They're there to be bothered.
I picked up
That's
on that.
the point.
That is
I mean, men do it too. Men do it all the time.
Oh, yeah, I know. Men, I know.
I've found that men, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, men tend to do it because they'd rather sort of not know. and rather, push it to one side.
I'd rather just drop
outside,
dead.
out
I
of
don't
mind.
want to know.
Women are completely different in the sense that they don't want to bother anyone. They've been sort of over, and this
Yeah.
is not right.
They don't want to bother anyone.
Such good
Don't want to
observation.
bother. Don't want to be a burden. I'm here to look after everyone else. My needs don't really count. That kind of vibe.
And they dismiss their own symptoms and they think, oh, well, it's probably nothing. I've just got to get on with it. I don't want to be a nuisance. And I'm sure it'll all get better. And the thing is that these changes, they occur so gradually, so slowly over time that it becomes your new normal. It becomes your new normal that you don't sleep. It becomes your new normal that you're just anxious all the time for no apparent reason. It becomes your new normal that you're just always feeling low. You lose the joy in life. And it's such a shame. And, there's so much women can do to make themselves feel so much better.
Yeah.
As long as they can acknowledge
what's going
on. They need to be heard, acknowledged and validated, don't they?
Completely. And it's as important that the men in our society understand the symptoms as well as the women, because it might be, I was having perimenopausal symptoms last year, and it took me ages to put the piece together and work out and to go, because I had wild anxiety, and I'm not an anxious person. Wake up in the middle of the night feeling like my world was on fire and just my life is falling apart. It took me ages to figure out that that's probably perimenopausal, which turns out it is. But men should know the symptoms so that if they're looking at their wife, partner, sister, whatever, they can say, do you know what, darling, you've been really low recently and you've not been sleeping. Is it worth popping to the GP or into Holland and Bath and just asking them and checking whether it's...
And then we'll be told, leave me alone.
Get out of here. Exactly. But it's worth the risk. It's because sometimes it's difficult to see it.
Basically, you should say it from like another room. And
maybe
then just
text
poke
it.
your head around the door and go, hello, darling, and then do exactly as Cherry just said.
Yeah, write it on a note and then run.
Then run like it.
This came on my radar relatively recently, and with a very tiny backstory. I edit podcasts for people, and one of my clients, a lovely lady called Lauren, writes about exactly this, and this really brought it home to me. Number one, that it's an issue that affects everybody, because obviously it ripples out to the people that we're close and connected to, so it certainly can't be dismissed as a female only issue. And of course, half the population will experience it, which does make it pretty big, really. And if it's something that half the population will experience, it's not really something that can be brushed under the carpet. But just original symptoms, she didn't know she was menopausal. She thought she had early onset dementia because it mimics the and she was understandably bloody terrified. And when she got the diagnosis, I quote, I was the happiest woman in Bristol to be told I was menopausal. It's only, if you like, menopause. But that really, really brought it home to me. So it's great awareness.
Some women have told me that they've been suicidal because of that, because they can't remember they wake up in the morning and they can't function from 1 minute to the other. And what's the good news is there's all sorts of things you can do. You can take supplements, you can change things in your routine and your lifestyle. And then, of course, there's HRT. So there is good news, but you need to know what it is to get the help.
But isn't it weird in a modern age? I think we're going backwards, but in a modern age, it takes a firm like Holland and Barrett, and bless them for doing it. I've got no skin in the game, but it's a fantastic thing that an independent company decides to do that. It's an excellent initiative, I must say. We get a lot of people come on and they start plugging. I go, oh, come on.
This one's really
this is really good.
It's a game changer for women.
It's really, it's a really excellent thing. But it's shocking that they should have to do it, that you should have to start talking about it like it's some amazing secret that's only been discovered in 2022. Come on.
I was thinking
but it is a fairly recent thing, because the age of the menopause has remained unchanged for a long time. And it's only because we're living a lot longer now that menopause has become such a thing. Some of us are going to spend half our lives in the menopause. And we know that long term, your risks of heart disease, dementia, osteoporosis, colon cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, they all increase with low levels of hormones. So taking a proactive approach to it with lifestyle changes, improving your diet, doing regular exercise, managing your stress, maybe taking hormones if that's what you want, is really important for long-term health. So when life expectancy was around the age of 50, 55, menopause wasn't such an issue, but it really is now.
Almost we really need our own evolution in a sense.
Yeah,
yes,
women are getting to 40, 50, and they're like, I'm not done. I'm not ready to feel this awful for this amount of time.
Well, my client, her vocation now is teaching women how to not only survive but thrive through menopause based on her own experience. It's a fantastic body of work, not dissimilar to yours. Tell us more.
So, well, I was going to say, the menopause is almost like a really exciting time and a new fresh start for women. They're no longer having periods every month with the heavy bleeding and the pain and the hormonal shifts and the mood changes. If you get your hormones and your lifestyle right, you can feel fabulous every day. And, you get that stability every day.
Can't wait.
Of normal mood, good exercise, good energy.
I'm waiting for this to happen to me, to be honest with you.
This woman is so amazing. This woman is so amazing because she is such a positive beacon of knowledge and hope, because I couldn't agree more with that message. And I don't think it's said enough. And I love hearing that.
It's a lovely way of thinking about it. A fresh start, a new chapter.
Yeah, it is, because
it's a lovely way. And the question that poses for me now, there's all this new knowledge and awareness from people like Lauren and yourselves. Do people have to go through hell to get to heaven, or is there an easier way?
There we go.
Oh, well, okay. So, my thing is, don't wait till you're menopausal, until your periods stop and you've been suffering for years and years. If you feel that things are shifting for you, and, most women know there's something up. They know that something's not right. Cool. Go and address it. Go and see someone who is knowledgeable about the menopausal hormones and be proactive, change things in your life, start focusing on yourself. Women are always looking at after other people.
Very much so.
They are always looking after others
and not prioritizing themselves. Yeah. So I think the time of the perimenopause and the menopause is a time to take stock, to start focusing on yourself, to start prioritizing yourself and feeling fabulous. And
self-care is not selfish. Let's just put that out there.
No, it's not. Exactly. You're so right. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Absolutely.
It's something we say a lot.
You can't look after your family if you're depressed and not functioning properly.
Yeah.
You can't.
Self-care isn't always a bubble bath. It's making time to go and see your GP, or going into a store like Holland & Barrett that actually cares. That is, you've got to be quite strict and disciplined. You've got to be quite disciplined with yourself. Self-care is actually not floofy.
And rainbows, it can be.
No.
A lot of it is.
It's saying to yourself,
it is more than a pedicure and a bubble bath. Yes.
I got to say, but if you're going to have a bubble bath, do contact the ABC of CBD, which is on Thursday night at 6 o'clock with Oliver Mammon and the Tincture Club. They do fantastic CBD bomb baths. Now, the thing is that it's not just you who can segue seamlessly, Cherry.
Wow.
Genius, Russ, genius.
Rodeo. I got to say something. In all seriousness, Holland & Barrett, who I have no truck with, one way or the other. I might pop in, I might not. But they've chosen two excellent no, I'm being absolutely deadly serious. Excellent ambassadors, because you speak with such knowledge and such passion, and you talk such damn sense, which is just fantastic. So, however this all married up in the great world of corporate, bravo to everyone who put it all together.
The feeling is mutual. We love them.
It's a perfect marriage. It really is. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Here's a question coming in from somebody who runs half of the city. It would have.
And interestingly, I wouldn't have associated something like this with Holland & Barrett before. So it's a good move on their part.
They're healthy, isn't it? Ramsey says this. To our guests, I do wonder how good the NH is on this kind of stuff. Dr. Adib is based in Harley Street. Okay, well, he's done his research, but not all GPs have access to such expertise. Am I mistaken?
Really good point. It's a really good question.
Really great question. So GPs are being trained in the menopause now, and they are getting the training. So you'll find a lot more GPs are knowledgeable about the menopause, and there are a number of NHS menopause clinics in hospitals that GPs can refer into. So yes, I work privately, but there are lots of resources in the NHS as well that are available to all women.
But if you feel fobbed off, yeah, but not all are trained.
I've got to say, this is really good to know, because it's very easy.
Somebody very close to me was going through all this nightmare, basically, and the GP was diabolical.
So go and see another GP.
Ill-informed, dismissive. And that's not the way forward.
Yeah. No. Well, look,
going to someone else.
Well, look, these poor GPs, they have to know something about everything, and it's hard for them. So, but normally there will be a GP in the practice who is trained in the menopause. So go and see that GP. They all have their specialist interests, and like I said, there is really good training for GPs now, and a lot of them are improving their expertise and their knowledge. So if you don't find what you're looking for from one GP, go and see another.
And that's really good to know, because
here's the thing: 50%. Go on, Nils. Go on.
That's right. Another block for people has been thinking this kind of knowledge doesn't exist down the local GP. I'm going to have to go and get specialist knowledge. It's going to cost a fortune. I can't afford it. Therefore, I'm kind of stuffed. Yeah. And to know that there are these new initiatives coming in and awareness is raising, and there is much more accessible and I would say affordable knowledge is a really good and necessary thing to know. But it's so easy to get stuck in that old mindset of, that doesn't exist. And I think what I want to say loud and clear, just because it hasn't existed before, you're right. Maybe it hasn't. But
that's such an important thing to say. That's so important.
And that's the importance of shows and conversations like this.
Completely.
And also, look, I'm a gynaecologist. I specialise in the menopause, and most of what I do is hormone replacement therapy. But that's not the only answer. To optimise your well-being, you also have to change your diet and exercise differently and manage your stress and take appropriate supplements. So even my patients who are on HRT, I still get them to take supplements and change their lifestyles, which is why Holland and Barrett, this is where they come in, that they can advise women on these areas and offer appropriate supplements, which do really work and really improve their quality of life.
I'm a testament to that, because I'm on supplements, because after this, I've had anxiety for like the last 1 year, and I've started, so not too much white wine. I know. Not white wine's an absolute killer for anxiety.
All alcohol,
and
sadly.
less
coffee. Ultimately, isn't it?
It is. And menopausal women can't metabolize alcohol.
Yeah. So I mean, that's been a really good thing. Yeah. Prioritizing exercising pretty much every day, and making sure I get into bed early, and these supplements. And so far, I do still wake up sometimes in the night, but I don't have a panic attack, and I can normally get back to sleep, which is completely.
You see, you're a very outgoing person with a profile and everything else like that. And we deal with anxiety. I mean, we only talk about mental health and well-being on the station, right? What was the manifestations? I know it's a slight detour, but it's important when we get somebody like you on. Yeah. What were the manifestations of your anxiety?
Okay,
what were you anxious about? And don't do anything you don't want.
It was almost overnight, if I'm honest. It was suddenly experiencing waking up at 4:15, 4:30, wide awake. I mean, wide awake, and feeling like something terrible was about to happen. And then what I would do is, because your brain then tries to match circumstances to the feeling. So when my brain would go through all of the stupid things I've ever done in my life, might warrant that. Like, do you remember that time when you said that thing and you slurred, and you were like, do you remember that time when you got that person's name wrong and at that party, and you're like, oh my God, whatever it is, your brain. And so I would catastrophize, and then your heart's racing, and it's a vicious circle. And sometimes I'd wake up in the morning and that feeling would still be there, and I'd have 2 or 3 hours where I'd have to pretend, I take my kids to school, I pretend I'm fine, I go to work, I pretend I'm fine. And it gradually got worse and worse and worse. So maybe it was a little wake up at night, but it was so bad that it was starting to affect, I was starting to be nervous about going to sleep, and I was tired, and it affects your relationships, because you're not as peaceful, you're not as kind, you're not as thoughtful, maybe not as compassionate as you would normally be. And most of all, more than anything, it was starting to really, really affect my self-confidence. And it's only now that I've got on top of it that I realise the damaging effect it was having. Really, really,
You're
really nervous.
right. And the awareness is the first step, isn't it? And you are so right that the brain looks to match. And the brain operates in patterns, doesn't it? Whether those
and I totally thought I was mad. I was like,
look for the pattern, won't it?
Yeah, and I started to wonder, like, what's wrong with me?
And the answer is absolutely nothing, because this is a thing we come back to time and time again, because everybody gets this middle of the night catastrophizing, and then you run through. It's like running a showreel of every stupid thing you've ever done, and to you it's huge. Other people have forgotten all about it. They don't care. But you beat yourself up to a pulp. And then you wake up and you're exhausted. I mean, absolutely.
So awful. And it sandpapers your confidence away. So things that I would normally find really joyful, like if I was, say, hosting an awards, or if I was doing something really fun that I really loved doing, I was getting really, really nervous before it, which affects your performance. You know, it's hard to be energetic and confident and read things, and when you're like, don't muck it up, because your confidence is diminished and you're tired. So it's a really, I can imagine that there have been people who've lost their jobs or are not able to do what they normally do because of this. And Tania was saying to me this morning, it's progesterone that is depleting, which is the sleep promoter, and all I need is to make sure I manage my lifestyle and take these supplements, and if they stop working, then I'll go and see her. Or I'll go and talk to my GP and say, this is what because now I've got the knowledge, now that I know what to say. And that's really important as well, like these conversations.
You've got the vocabulary.
Exactly.
Well.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean this in the best way, you're making it sound relatively simple.
It is actually, once I know, now that I know.
Once you know, it's like knowing the answers to a quiz show. Once you know, it's easy.
Right? Yeah. I mean, what often happens in women in their late 30s and 40s when they're feeling anxious and depressed and they're not sleeping, they're often prescribed antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication, which can take the edge off. And, in some cases, that's the right treatment because there's been an event, there's a divorce or a bereavement, and antidepressants are the right treatment. But if it's related to hormones and this gradual shift and decrease in progesterone over time, then the best treatment is hormones and lifestyle changes. It's not an antidepressant because it just takes the edge off, but it doesn't make the woman feel better.
A bit of a one-size-fits-all approach to it. Got a problem, not confident, here's some SSRIs.
It's not always the
antidepressants has basically been, they are essentially, to use a car metaphor, jump leads. If the battery is flat, get the battery jumped, and then the more nuanced treatment.
I'm just going to do this because I know you've got to go. It's from Paul Claridge. It's so brave of Cherry to be so open and honest about her menopause symptoms.
Oh, thank you.
But at the same time, it's so important and great that she, as a public figure, has highlighted the issues. Bravo to Cherry and Tania and to MRS. Yeah, that's from Paul. I know you guys.
There's so many women that have come before me who've opened up. There's trailblazers in this story. So it's because of women like that I'm able to be open. So
Cherry,
we all stand on the leading edge to make our contribution, and you two are absolutely rocking it at the moment.
You are, and as I always say,
girl power has grown up.
we are all standing on the shoulders of giants.
We really are.
Listen, thank you. I know you got to go. So
you've been a delight. Can you have us on again, or me on again, or her?
I'd love to come back.
Anytime.
Great.
I'd love
such
to
fun.
come back. And
You're great.
You've got a busy schedule, so
we do have a busy schedule, but we've loved every minute of this. Thank you.
It's been lovely to have met you both. And keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, you're doing it brilliantly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Aren't they lovely? How charming. And in such a straightforward way, managed to move the conversation along so much. Now, Elizabeth Green's going potty in Manhattan. No change there, Liz. And it says,
come on, let's hear it. What's she saying?
She's saying this, right? She says she beats herself up daily. She must mean beat, not best. I don't know if she means best myself up daily.
That's a really good Freudian slip.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that was. No. Then she comes straight back and goes, beat myself up daily. And she says, and she's dealing with it. So this is coming in from Manhattan. And then, what have we got here from Aza coming in from Northeast America? Have you consulted the partners in cases of menopause? Well, they've gone now, sadly, because they were on a time. They do these things, but they blitz the media, so that's why they sit in the studio. And then they'll deal with other Russ's and Neil's all over the show.
But
I
no one
love
quite has
the
our
fact.
charm and panache.
Say that again.
Nothing.
What did you say?
I said no one quite has our charm and panache, though.
Well, you're right. I mean, screw them. What do they know? What do they know? I'm just going to get rid of this banner for a sec. But that's who they were: Cherry Healey and Dr. Tania Adib. Oh, because I do comedy, it's like I thought it was Dr. Tania Adib. And it's just. Oh my goodness! It was a very interesting.
I did some comedy over the weekend.
Did you? How did that go down?
Well, it was an open mic night. And I kind of headlined it because I've got a strong 10.
Yeah,
so it's a good open night or a good end of night open mic night or a strong middle bit. So I was singing very inappropriate songs and getting lots of inappropriate laughs last night, which is very good fun. Very good for the soul.
My favourite meme of the day. I can't put it up because I don't know the tech. My favourite meme. They've got a picture. They've superimposed of Philip Schofield winning the marathon. It says Philip Schofield wins the marathon after a frantic 10-yard dash. 10-yard dash.
One of my favourite spoofs. It's been removed off Reddit now, I think, because it's failed some sort of it's violated some standards. But it was very, very funny spoof of Dizzy Rascal's Bonkers. And it was about Liz Truss, and it was really. Do you know Joe? He just takes the clips and clips them all together and makes the person he's spoofing speak it. Have you seen that?
No, I don't. I'm not sure I have. This is from Ramsey again. I agree with Dr. Adib. The problem with GPs is that they are typically jacks of all trades and rarely master of any. Well, they've got to be, haven't they, really? The secret of a good
what
GP,
other choice is there?
Well, that's kind of it. That's the deal. The secret of a good GP is to have a network of specialists that they can plug into and refer their patients to. Absolutely darn right. The trick, of course, is to recognize what the problem is so they can go to the right specialist.
Exactly. But the problem is, how do you know who the right specialist is until you know, which is the purpose of shows like this?
Well, yeah, it's a real catch-22. Oh, he did. Oh, dear. Oh, this sounds like a threat. He did. I had the video of Neil's comedy spot last night, Russ. Look, I didn't get to bed till 4:30 because of the first show that I did.
Now is not the forum for that, let me assure you.
No, I think, no. Well, I don't want to rush this comedy gold moment. It was a sad thing, yes, this morning. It was the last overnight show on Talk TV. This is how radio works. All right, this just goes. So Petri Hoskin, who's a pal of mine, so I've been doing the show with her for ages and ages and ages at Talk TV.
Big up Petri. And
yeah, she's a lovely human being.
Never met her. She's been on my radar for years.
She's great. Petri is great, and she's a real consummate pro. She's got the second highest ratings in the whole of Talk TV. And I thought, no, it can't be, because the show's from midnight till 4 a.m. Can't be, right? And I see the official statistics, absolutely right, to my wonder and delight, second highest ratings on the station.
Well done, right? Petri.
What do? Cancel the show.
No.
Cancel the show. I can't tell you why. I'll tell Neil off. I can't tell you why. I know why. So we're going to talk about a tiny, small show.
We're going to talk about some other bits on the show.
Yes, we are. Neil, I'm going to lead in.
I've prepared notes for this because I think
Let me just lead in. Yeah. Neil, who is an amazing fellow, phones me up this morning. He says, I've got these ideas. I said, that sounds absolutely fantastic. So I take zero credit. This is all down to Neil. Neil, the floor is yours.
I want to talk about depression. I'm going to talk to my producer for a second. There's a book lurking around called How to Tell Depression to Piss Off. It's around here somewhere. Yeah, thank you very much. To quote someone, I'll start that again. Quoting myself, it's like me and learning about the menopause. It hadn't been on my radar until it came on my radar. It's kind of natural to not know anything about it until you're either forced to or something happens and you have a direct experience, if you know what I mean. And that's natural. So none of this is said to make anyone feel bad or guilty. In fact, that's what depression would have you do. I'm not a member. I also want to say, I know it's a very serious subject, and I'm not a member of the pull yourself together brigade, stiff upper lip, oh, can't you make more of an effort? I've had those things said to me, and I've experienced depression. And it's about as useful as having a broken leg and then calling you a wimp because you can't run a marathon. Yes, there is stuff that we can do, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it sometimes need help to do it. I mean, if I broke my leg, I would need it set by a professional. Then I'll do the work of the healing, if you know what I mean. So I'm not one of those. And I want to make it really clear from the outset. I'm not trying to say anything glib, and I'm not trying to be clever or facetious. I'm just putting it over in the best way that I can. And if you disagree with me, and if your experience is different, we all experience things differently, and that's absolutely cool. So it is true that through the decades, and we read about them, there are people that have mastered themselves to such a degree that they wouldn't experience depression, or if they did, they would know how to deal with it. They are such masters of the self, if you like, of the mental, emotional self. I don't know, Paramahansa Yogananda might be an example. You know, most of us, though, are just regular, ordinary human beings who wouldn't have had an experience of this unless forced to, or unless they had some experience of it, if you know what I mean. Like I know people also who absolutely honest. They say, I don't understand mental health. I just sort of get on with it. And for me, they're kind of lucky in a sense. They've obviously got a health.
I was about to say, how lucky are they?
They've got a health strategy. They don't overthink things. They're quite simplistic in their thinking, and I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm not calling people simple. Simplistic is different. I know a guy, a very good friend of mine, and he's always been quite simplistic in his thinking, but it makes his life very uncomplicated. He doesn't overthink things. He's a normal guy. He's got a faith, and he just kind of follows that. Quite simple. And I've never seen him getting too much of a tizzy about anything, but depression will have you overthink. And anyone that likes to think or call themselves a bit of a deep thinker like me, it's absolutely playing into its hands, if you like. Classic depression symptoms: over rumination, overthinking. It's the same old loop of thoughts, like our guest was talking about, going through every possibility. Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? And the mind can be a wonderful, and is a wonderful, I think Einstein said this, a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. We have a mind, but we're not our mind. And to be able to step out of that and to see it from an observer perspective, this is the point of mindfulness and things like that, can be a very powerful thing to do. Depression will feed you lies. When you're in its grip, if you like, it will tell you things like you're bad, you're not worth it, there's no point, nothing can ever get better. And it doesn't matter how it got there in this sense, whether you're depressed because something terrible has happened to you or because you've got a chemical imbalance. How it got there isn't really that important.
It's a very important. I'm going to jump in for just a sec. It's terribly important that people understand this. You don't need a reason to be depressed. In other words, people think, oh, like, you know, you lose a loved one, your dog dies, you've lost your job, you've got divorced. Those are serious, horrible issues. And it is 100% natural to feel bad about it and feel upset about it and feel blue.
Yeah, that's actually next on my.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but
no, not at all.
Neil's point is so important. You mustn't think. I'm sorry, that sounded very prescriptive. It's you. One shouldn't think, I don't have a reason to be. You just will.
It doesn't
be.
matter. I've met people who on paper have everything and yet are still so depressed. The good sign, if there's a good thing in it, it can, if you use it in the right way, it's one way of looking at it. It's an indicator that something needs to change, that what you're doing isn't working. Is that your fault? No, not at all. We're products of the environment we're brought up in. We're products of the belief systems we're brought up in.
I get into a situation, I think, well, it is my fault.
But depression would feed you that line. That's classic depression. That is classic depression talk. Think of it this way, okay? Yeah. There's like two things within us. There's the troll, if you like, and there's the inner cheerleader, all right? Now, the troll and depression, they're best buddies. They're absolute best buddies. The depression will tell you you're not worth it, you're scum, you're probably better off dead. And if you do start thinking thoughts like that, please get professional help. This is not something you can deal with alone. Reach out. Please
and
reach
let's
out.
Just look at that. This is because on social media, and God knows why people do it on social media, but they do. And they say, that's it. And I've seen, and I'm seeing more and more of this, Neil. And it's not from people I know, by the way. It's I don't know who they are. It's just a name that comes up. And it's like, that's it, I'm done. And everyone pours in. And then they come back the next day.
Oh, what's up, hon? What's up? All that, yeah.
All that shit. Are you okay, hon? Well, obviously you're not okay. They're posting they're going to kill themselves. And then they say, thank you for being there. You've really turned me around, which is the positive side of social media, that suddenly they feel loved. But if you're going to seek the love of strangers, you got a serious problem on your hands. It's a one-way trip to nowhere.
But perhaps that's the best they have access to, and that's why we need to be having conversations.
But that's the horrible thing, Neil, isn't it? You think, Jesus, they've got to go to social media because they can't pick up the phone.
I know. Well, that's an indictment. That's an indictment on the world, which it makes me even more determined to be having conversations like this and doing shows like this. It makes me even righter in my thinking that I want to be here doing things like this. I met a chap over the weekend. I've got his permission to tell this story. And he's known of me as Longy, the DJ, radio presenter for a while. And he texted me and he said, do you deal with mental health issues? And I'm, kind of. Well, I told him the absolute truth. I'm an advocate for mental health. I've had my own struggles a couple of times over the years, and I like to signpost, hence I'm doing this. And he said, and it comes back to my original point, that and he's a professional man, he's a thoroughly good man. We were celebrating 35 years of him being married, so I guess he's a pretty good husband as well, a regular, normal person who in all innocence didn't know what to do in this situation, because it only came on his radar, which was my original point. Unless it's forced on you, you wouldn't normally think about it. Why would you? You're just getting on with your everyday business. And he noticed someone was a no-show at his party, and that was enough to get him on the radar. And he said, I'm not sure how to deal with it. I don't want to jump in with both feet. I signposted him to what I thought was a fantastic documentary, and I think it's on iPlayer. And it's a guy that presents the Capital Breakfast Show nowadays, Roman Kemp, and he made was it iPlayer?
Shirley and Martin's son, isn't it?
Yes, Spandau Ballet, Kemp, The Connection. Yeah. And he made a fantastic documentary on mental health. And his thing was always asked twice, are you okay? Yes. No, are you okay? And really just sort of checking in on someone. I would make that recommended viewing for every person in the world, and certainly every mental health professional. It's a brilliantly, sensitively made documentary, and I thought Roman Kemp was brilliant in it, even though I envy him doing the Capital Breakfast Show when I never had the chance.
Not anymore.
That aside,
Neil, you and I would not want to do that anymore. You know that. It's resonating around the world. This is from Dave Sleet, who's up in Fife. Yeah. Dave and I had a long chat the other day. He is so damn brave. He is far from well, and is so damn stoic. And I come off the phone and I feel 1 inch tall, to be honest with you, every damn time. Understand? I read this out because of Deluxe Radio, as we know. I always say that because they are listening, but they're not watching. Understanding and holding the balance between the three parts of ourselves is vital to our whole perception of being okay. The three parts are physical, emotional, and psychological. Being out of balance feeds the gremlin. The troll. Balance sings like the mogwai. I don't know. To use your metaphor, Dave,
I was going to come on to the mogwai. We've all got this. I'll just read this first. We all go through cycles and are affected by our biopsychosocial, and this is where it gets complex. Asa Don Brown. There's research that men may have sympathetic features. You're gonna have to explain that to me. I think I know what you mean, but would you?
The sooner we get Asa, I keep saying Asa.
Oh, we've got to come on the show.
We want to give you an hour's special because you sound like a dude.
Let's talk about the mogwai for now, because I was just coming on to talking
about.
You've
absolutely lost me, so please do.
I don't know what it means. Dave Sleet was talking about. I was talking about the two parts of ourselves: the troll and the cheerleader. Yeah, Dave says the inner gremlin and the mogwai, because everyone loves the mogwai. The mogwai is very sweet and cuddly, and the mogwai
is it from a book or something? I've never.
Gremlins is the film Gremlins, the Spielberg film.
Oh, okay, all right. No, I'm not.
Don't Feed After Midnight, Bright Light, all that. I love that film. Anyway, we call it the inner cheerleader. Now, the relationship of the inner cheerleader, and we all have this as well, I believe. In the same way, the sun is always there, even if it's a cloudy day, even though you can't see it. The inner cheerleader doesn't have to shout because it's got nothing to prove. And the relationship it has with you, physical you, if you like, is the closest it can be described is the unconditional love a mother would have for a baby. Never judge, only love. And it would always tell you things like, no, you are worthy. This is just an illness. Here's a path out. Look over this way. Think about this. Think about that. But you have to kind of tune into it. And it's very hard to do when you're in the grip of depression, because when you are, here's a very bad graphic, It's all you can see. If that circle represents you, all right, depression.
Yeah, we can't see it.
Depression.
It's too light.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's basically a circle with depression written on it in big letters. It's all encompassing. It's all you can see. You can't see the forest for the trees.
Absolutely.
It doesn't define. Can you see that? That's a small d in a big circle.
Yeah.
It doesn't define the whole of you. This is the whole of you, but it's all blank because it's all blanked out by the bloody big depression.
Yes.
However, if you look at that, that's a very busy circle. And I've written in there relationships, fun, humor, career, personal, contribution, spirituality, depression, sex, dreams, adventure, hobbies, creativity, intellect. You can add your own. But notice depression kind of blends into the background there a bit in the context of all of that.
The problem is, and you've hit the proverbial B&Q nail on the head, is this. When you're in it, everything is dark. Everything is awful.
And that's the thing.
You can't, it's when we're doing shows like this and we're talking in a pretty rational way and everyone's chipping in all over the world, which is fantastic. So many Americans.
Absolutely love it.
It's just so exciting when all the
American
gangs join in. It's wonderful to have you along.
It's
Thank
to be
you.
doing it.
But when then when you're in it, Jesus,
tell me about it.
It is awful. And I say this, it's close to my heart. I've been there. I fight it. And it's ghastly. You've been there and you've been open about it. And it's horrendous. And the interesting thing, why I said you don't need a reason is that I think this sounds horrendous. When I've had huge instigators that would normally cause awful depression, losing my wife, etc., that wasn't a trigger at all. My worst bouts were where things were pretty good, to be honest. I was an incredibly busy writer. I was winning award. And here's the weird thing, which I've never able to square this circle. When I was at my most ill, I won every award that was going for writing, mostly comedy. I mean, explain that. Explain. I mean, at the worst stage, I won the gold medal.
Why does Adele sell millions of albums about her torment and heartbreak?
It's what? Say that again.
Why does Adele sell so many albums all about her torment and heartbreak?
Because all she does is have a relationship and then write songs about it when it all goes tits up.
Similar sort of thing. But I would make a case, again, like with the menopause earlier on, we're much more open now. We're all talking a lot more conversations like this. There's been a ton of research in many, many fields, even measuring brainwaves in mindfulness and things like that. Yeah. So it's proven that there are ways out, even if you can't see them. And this is where it gets sticky, because to know there's a way out when you can't see it, it's kind of an act of faith. And I don't mean that in a religious way, but it's trusting in something that you can't yet see or can't yet experience. And you have to know it's in the future.
But I'd like to say one thing for people.
That's the tricky bit.
One thing for people who are dealing with those who are suffering from depression. And I know Neil's covered it. I'm going to cover it again because it's so important. It is no good. Please. It's like, cheer up, mate. It's all going to be all right. And as Neil used a wonderful example, it's like going to someone with a broken leg and going, run around the garden. You'll feel better.
Go and do a marathon. What do you mean you can't? You're wuss. You're a big girl.
Do it.
Put yourself together.
Do it. And unless you've been there, you trust me, you will not know how that dark.
I'm going to quote a book now, if I may. This is a book called "You're Too Good to Feel This Bad." And this is talking about, there's been a lot of research into the mind-body connection. Yeah, we've all got a gremlin, but we've also got an inner cheerleader too. People don't write books about that. There's always more of a focus on the bad than the good. And perhaps the good needs more attention. I will say that.
Bad sells, let's be honest.
There's no clear delineation marking where physiology stops and psychology starts in real life. The mind and body are permanently tethered and constantly coordinating. That means yoga. That means to yoke. It means to unite mind and body. Yoga comes from yoke. It's root. Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, it does. It means to yoke, and it's a unity of mind and body. Now, this book talks about simple physical things, which I'm just finally starting to do. But this is sort of the more advanced bit of the book, if you like. the key to genuine human progress is not just personal knowledge or consuming insightful information. It's becoming a person capable of breaking old patterns and building new habits. If we look at depression as a perfectly understandable set of habits and responses to a situation in life, it is, and I'm going to be careful how I say this, only a habit, and a habit can be changed. And it comes down to one thing. It comes down to one thing at the end of the day, according to this chap, and I think I agree with him: state. Our state is how we feel at any given moment. And I'm going to dive into this book again because it's fairly fresh. It's not. I can't repeat it.
I love our viewers and listeners just when it's getting deep and serious. Liz Saul, your pal. Yoga for me seems pointless. I don't need to pay. Can you finish reading it? I can't get through it. Please.
Yeah, but if you can put your ankles behind your ears, I'll marry you tomorrow. Now go away.
I don't need to pay a $5
just
each
getting
time
serious.
to wave my legs about and fart. Thanks, Liz. I'm never going to look at you in quite the same way.
Yeah, it's all about state. Our behaviors are driven by emotions. Interpretations, decisions, or actions are a result of our present state. So we could see the same thing in two completely different ways, depending on what state we're in. Let's give an example. Let's say very beautiful woman is standing, let's say, in a trendy bar with her husband, and another beautiful woman walks in and smiles at the husband. In a good state, she'd think, yeah, I can bag myself a man. That's a bit of girl power. In a bad state, it'd be like, keep your hands off my man. Same thing, different interpretation. Because depression and the thoughts it feeds to us color our interpretation. And it's kind of an act of humility to see what we are seeing or believing may not necessarily be the truth. We all know people that stick to their beliefs until the end of time. It's happening on the world stage, and it's not entirely good a lot of the time. Sometimes it's good to stick to your guns. But a recovery from something like this, anyone that's come through that journey and turned the healing corner will tell you, and humility isn't humiliation. Humility means just, is there something I don't know that could be beneficial to know? Nowadays, with all the new research and all the new signposting and conversations like this, I would counter yes. And if there are solutions, yes, depression is very serious, but equally, if there are things you can do to help yourself, why wouldn't you use them? Because you don't feel like it. That's depression. And that's the tricky bit. But this is fascinating. Listen to this. State you could define as the current real-time condition involving our physical body and our mental processes. What is a key indicator of our state? Simple, our mood. How we feel. When we're in a positive state, we respond to the world positively. Don't need rocket science for that. And when we're in a negative state, we respond to the world negatively.
And there's so much coming in. Neil, by the way, I think it looks like you're getting married. Congratulations. I'm happy to turn up. I'm not going to put that one on the screen, but you can read it in the comment sections. Dave says, up in Fife, the gremlin will always look to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh my God.
Well, and this is not new, Dave.
Oh my God.
Epictetus, I can't pronounce his name. Epictetus, I can't. Sorry, how silly.
Begins with E. Who knows? Call him Eric. I don't care.
All right. A Greek philosopher once said, "Naughty, naughty," and he also said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." So
say that again. Slowly.
Any person capable of angering you, or in this case, depressing you, becomes your master.
Totally. Oh, totally. Yeah. Jesus, totally.
So it's been shown, and they've done science on this. And I'd like to do more on this and go into this in more detail, but very quickly, they did some mindfulness tests. And it was that, you know what, remember what I said, you respond to things differently depending on your state.
Yeah.
Right. So it's all about state, Neil. How do we change our state? And they got some students and they asked them a question. One group of students was asked, they were all asked the question, would you be prepared to pay higher fees for your course? This is absolutely true. And they split two students into two, and one they had to do this. So it made a grin, like that. And the other one they didn't. And would you believe that by fooling the brain into thinking it was smiling, they were more amenable to paying higher fees? And that's been proved over and over again.
Wow.
Yes, really.
This is
why we're in exciting times.
That is so bizarre. On Deluxe Radio, just so you understand what Neil just did, he put a biro, invented, of course, by Monsieur Biro, who was Belgian. It was Monsieur Biro. He put a biro in his mouth, so it looked like he was kind of smiling, and that's how he fooled his.
Now, if you look at the work of Amy Cuddy, she's come up with 3 power poses that are proven. And they've measured brain chemistry as well, so the brain chemicals correlate to change how you feel for the better in 2 minutes. And very briefly now, because we're running out of time, but with your permission, Russ, I'd love to go into this more deeply.
Go on.
Three power poses. Okay, I'm going to put the computer over here. Excuse me.
Slightly lost on Deluxe
I'm
Radio, but I'm going to talk you through
I'm going
it.
to show you. Right, number one is Wonder Woman, like that. Chest out, because body posture matches state, okay? And depressed people tend to sit like this. You don't see a depressed person walking in confidently, chest puffed out. Put it down a bit, would you?
The Vince McMahon pose, as I call it.
Hands on hips, Wonder Woman pose. Do that for 45 seconds, okay?
Yeah.
Pose number 2. I reckon this has come from yoga. I call it superstar DJ pose, but it's like that. Imagine a DJ in control.
Like Robert Van Buren when he's headlining to 80,000 people.
No, he's just got a name where he should be a
No, I know
DJ.
that, but it just sounds right. Okay, we're going to do the superstar DJ.
It's the Van Buren thing. 45 seconds of that. And then, sitting down again, 45 seconds of...
I'm killing me here.
What? Of putting your feet up on a desk like that.
No, I don't like that at all. Slovenly.
Well,
no,
people might judge that as slovenly, but in a mind-body point of view, that is a way of changing
If I go
state.
into a meeting and some arse is, and I've never met them before, I don't know if it's a pal of mine, it's entirely different. I've been to meetings and the guy sits there and I think you're arse.
Right.
You're showing off.
And in body language,
and you're trying to intimidate me. Screw you.
No, you're right. Let me qualify that. You're right. Yeah. That pose in body language is called the catapult. Arms there and feet up on the desk. I've seen bosses do it. Someone you and I both know very well has done that. And in body language terms, it means rubbish. I'm the boss and you're not. Used to intimidate someone.
Completely. It's an intimidation process.
It's a dick move. Used to empower yourself in the privacy of your own home, so you feel that you are in power, not depression.
I don't get why that. I get the other poses.
Else entirely.
I get the other poses. I don't genuinely. I know we're running out of time. What does that pose do? I'm not connecting with that.
Put together, they change your state, and it's been proven not only by people reporting back how they feel, but by measuring brain chemistry. Cortisol levels go down, the serotonins and the dopamines go up.
Yeah, that's what we want.
And I know people do use it as a dick move. We know someone that's done it. But
we do.
To use it to empower yourself is an entirely different thing, I would say.
Let's whip through some comments quickly.
To empower yourself, I would.
This is from Paul. My new employees are so on the ball with mental health, not only because of the impact on business, but because of the impact it has on the person suffering from it. They have excellent measures in place to help any employee, this is brilliant, suffering from mental health issues, and also help their comments. I'm so happy you got your new job.
And it's right, because a mentally healthy society will create mentally healthy workplaces.
And this is from, would you like to read this from Ramsey, please?
I will, Ramsey. Part of the reason I like the show is since 2020, I've not seen as many people, colleagues, friends, etc., face to face due to COVID and working remotely. The lack of such personal interaction will lead, if not already, to increasing amounts of mental health issues in men and women, I would say. Not everyone has a good network of friends and family they can lean on. The technology was a godsend in lockdown. I mean, I was DJing lockdown parties, which was a laugh. But it was an absolute godsend. Absolute godsend.
This is back to around. Now, I saw these photos and she was absolutely gorgeous. I have to say, Miss Palestine. Not a political thing. She was absolutely gorgeous. Longy just covered off 3 of the poses Miss Palestine gave me when I shot with her last month.
And how do you think Miss Palestine was feeling when she did those poses? I rest my case, my lord.
I love this.
Poses.
Paul D. Oh, Paul, this is great. Number one.
Oh, no, it's not indignant, moany old bloke. All right, it's what you see. It looks. It's like you with your catapult. It looks like something else, but it's all about context. This one can be miserable old bloke that probably complains on the next door.
This is very good. Dave Sleet, he's so on the ball. It is why smile. You see, I did this. You've got to psych yourself up. It's why smiling before engaging in a phone call changes perception through your voice. These little tiny, it's so important. Don't just grab the phone.
Fantastic DJs like Pat Sharp, and I still think he's a fantastic DJ to this day.
I don't remember him. I don't remember him at all. Pat who? I don't remember. Pat.
Don't be so cruel. Don't be so cruel.
He's the nicest man on the planet, except he doesn't look a day older, so he pisses me off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But what does he do? What does Pat,
I'd like to go a bit deeper into this sometime, because I think we're really onto something that could help a lot of people. On Wednesday, we got 2 fantastic guests. One you brought along. I will quickly plug my one, Shalia, who is a campaigner for mental health, and she wrote the most touching song after the tragic death of Caroline Flack. And she's going to be talking about her campaigning, and she's great, and I can't wait to see her Wednesday.
That's good. And quickly, last one in from Dave Sleet up in 5. Hi, Paul. Sounds like your employer should be recognized and celebrated with an APA award. There you go. You two, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Wow. Oh, this is great. Final one from Ramsey today. I became the CEO of the FTSE 250 over COVID, chief entertainment officer when I ran a weekly pub quiz.
I like that.
That is brilliant. It's been a belter of a show. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've covered a hell of a
really
lot of
powerful
stuff.
show today. Thank you, Russ.
If you like these conversations that Neil and I have, and your interaction has been sensational, we can always do more. Always do more.
I'll like be delighted to disseminate.
And Neil has got so much that he wants to say, and I want to give him the proper time and platform to do it. Okay, gang, we're out of time. We'll be back Wednesday, 12 o'clock. Until then, try and
love you,
stay
hug
out
you,
of
squeeze you.
trouble.
Take care.